I'm the Ember, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this Rubik's Cube in Blender. You will need to know the basics of Blender to do this tutorial. I'm not going to be explaining how to move around and that sort of stuff. So let's jump straight into it. Okay, so I'm going to select our default cube, press Tab to go into edit mode, and Control B to bevel. Okay, so you can see if we move the mouse around that it's beveling. So I'm just going to scroll the mouse wheel up to add more segments and put it around somewhere like this. Okay, so now we can tab out of edit mode, and if we zoom in, you can see that we have these lines here going across there as well. We don't really want that, so I'm going to right click and shade smooth. That shades those edges smooth. So to make the Rubik's Cube, I'm going to add some modifiers. So I'm going to go over to the modifier properties here, that's the little wrench icon, and add an array. So if we go to side view by pressing the Y on this little gizmo up here, you can see that there is no gap between them. So I'm going to make X factor 1.01. Now you can see that we've got a little gap. I'll also make the count 3, so we've got 3 cubes. Okay, now I'll collapse this and add another array. I'll also make this 3, and we don't want it going on the X, so I'll make that 0. We want this going on the Z, so I'll make that 1.01. Now it's going on the Z, and we've got 9 cubes. Now we want it to go along the Y-axis this way, so I'm going to head back over here. I'll just collapse this one and add one more array. Don't worry, this is the last array. Then I'll make the X factor 0 and the Y 1.01 and make the count 3 again. And there we go, we've got our Rubik's Cube. Okay, so now we want to add some materials. So I'm going to go up to shading up here, and you can see that we've already got the default material. So I'm just going to make this black, well, a dark gray, and the roughness nearly all the way down. I think like this looks good, and I'll just rename this to black. So we don't want the whole cube to be black, so I'm going to press Tab to go into edit mode. You can see our original cube is here, and then I'm going to select face select up here and select this face. Okay, so I'm going to make this the blue face. So to do that, at the moment, if we change this color to like a blue color, it changes everything. We don't want that to happen. So I'm going to click this slot button here, add a new slot, and assign that material. Now you can see all these faces are white. I'm also going to click the new material button, and then I'm just going to paste this hex code in. So if you want the same color as me, you can copy this hex code, and that will make it a blue color. So now I'll just make the roughness about 0.05, and you can press Tab again. You can see all these faces are blue. So that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to go to the modifier properties here and disable all of these in the viewport by clicking the screen button. That will just make it a bit easier to view our cube. So I'm going to go to the other side and press Tab, select the opposite face, and then we're going to do the same thing. Click this slot button, add a new material, assign it, and then click the new button. Before I forget, I'll just name this green as well. And then I'm just going to click this, go to hex, and I'll paste this hex code in. So you can copy this hex code if you want the same color as me. It's just 009B48. Then I'm just going to tab back out of edit mode and lower the roughness to 0.05. So that's looking pretty good. And I'm just going to click this slot button, click the blue one, and I'll just rename that to blue, so I didn't do that before. Okay, so I'm going to tab back into edit mode, select this face here, click the slot button, click the plus icon, and assign that. Now I'll click new and name this red. Okay, so I'll change the color and paste my hex code in, which is B9 and then 0000. And then I can tab back out of edit mode and make the roughness 0.05. Okay, so opposite of red is orange. So I'm going to go to the opposite side, press Tab, click the slot button, press the plus icon and assign that. Click new material, and I'll just name this orange. And then I'll click this base color and put my hex code in. And you can copy this again if you want, don't have to. Then make this 0.05 again. There we go, that's looking pretty nice and shiny. Now all we have to do is the top and the bottom. So tab back into edit mode, select the top, click new, assign, and I'll just call this white. And I'm just going to drag this slider all the way to the top so it's pure white. Then make the roughness 0.05 again, and tab back out of edit mode. Now for the last face, which is yellow. I think you get the idea now. So click the slot button, add a new slot, assign, new material, it's yellow. Now for the yellow hex code, I'm going to use this one, which is FFD500. You can copy that if you want. 0.05 for the roughness, tab back out of edit mode, and there we go, we've colored all our sides. So now we can turn the array back on. There we go. So that is our Rubik's Cube. So you can stop now if you want, but I'm just going to show you how to render this. So I'm just going to go over to the render properties, enable ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflections. This just makes it look better. And I'm also going to go down to color management and make this high contrast. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to our layout. And I'm just going to delete this basic light. Press X to delete. And I'm going to press Shift A and add a plane. I'm also going to select our Rubik's Cube. Press G, Z, and 1. That'll just move it up a little bit. Then we're going to select our plane again and press S to scale. We can scale this pretty far up. And then I'm going to select our camera, press Alt R and Alt G. This resets the location and the rotation. You can see our cameras at the bottom here. And we're going to press R, X, and 90. So you can just type RX and then 90 in on your keyboard. And that rotates our camera 90 degrees. So then I'm going to go over here and press this camera button to go into camera view. And I'll just press G and then Z, Z. Move this back. And then just press G and position this how you want. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Just going to move the camera up by pressing G then Z. Then we can press R then X and rotate this so it's looking down a bit. I'll just move it up a bit more. R then X, rotate this so it's looking down. You can see that the floor doesn't go far enough. So to fix that, I'm going to press Tab to go into edit mode and enable edge select. And then select this far edge, press E and Z to extrude this on the Z axis. Then I'm going to select this edge right here, Control B to bevel, and you can scroll your mouse wheel up again. And somewhere about there looks good. Tab out of edit mode, right click and shade smooth. Then I'm going to go back into camera view. We can select our cube here. So I'm going to press RZ and you can hold down Control to snap this. And somewhere about here looks good. Then we can press G. Holding Shift, press C. This moves it on every axis except the Z axis. And I'll just put this in the center. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go over to rendered view. And you can see that it's looking pretty dark. So I'm going to press Shift A, add a light, and add an area. GZ and move it up. And you can press S to make it a bit bigger. And it's very weak, so I'm going to increase it. That looks pretty good. I'll just move it to the middle, scale it up. Then I'll press Shift D, move it out a bit, and rotate it on the X-axis. So it's pointing at it like this. I might also make this color a bit purple, just to add some variety. And I'll make it 1000. I'll also make the top one 1050. I'm just going to go to this world icon here and change this all the way down to black. Okay, I'm also just going to move this light in on the y-axis, so GY, then RX. And this is just a matter of adjusting. So I'm going to add another light by pressing Shift D, move this to this side. X. You can press X again, rotate it on the local X axis, and then I'll make this color a yellowy color. Okay, so one last thing you can do is go up to the camera icon and you can change the render engine from Eevee to Cycles. Cycles is just a more realistic render engine, so I'm actually going to do that, and that makes it look a lot better. Okay, so one last thing before we render is I want to add a material to this backdrop. So I'll select it, go to the material button down here, create a new material, and I'll just call this BG for background, and I'll lower the color to a gray. I'll turn the roughness down a bit, but you can see that the lights are in the reflection here. So to fix this, what I'm going to do is go out of camera view and press SY and scale this along the S axis. Go back into camera view, and I might need to scale this on the X as well, so S then X, and that looks pretty good. I might make it a bit metallic as well. There we go, that's looking nice. Now I'm just going to go back to the camera icon. I'll change the render max samples to 300. And then we can go to render and render image. This might take a little while to render, but once it's done, you'll have a really cool image. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something and had fun making this Rubik's Cube, and I'll see you in the next one.